Welcome to the Project Integration Management series. This is lecture number 6. Before going to the process, I just want to go briefly over the processes which we have covered up till now. We covered develop project charter, develop project management plan, direct and manage project execution in the execution phase, monitor and control project work in monitoring and control phase. And now in this lecture we will cover the perform integrated change control, which is also in the monitoring and control phase, and the key deliverable is the change request status updates. And after that we will cover in the next lecture close project or phase. So once we are done with the monitoring and control project work, we also need to go through the process which is perform integrated change control. Whenever we are monitoring the execution phase, the execution of the project in the monitoring and control phase, we also find that there are some changes required. So for the change request, we need to integrate the change control uh, to integrate the change request into the project management plan, which is done in monitoring and control phase. And this is the process which we use to do this. The perform integrated change control process has following inputs: project management plan, work performance information, change request, enterprise environmental factors, and organization process assets. So basically, all these inputs were in the previous process, but the new input which you find is the change request. So whenever we are monitoring the project, we find that there are some changes required according to the scope, or there are some changes which you find requested by the customer, or there are some changes which are requested by the management team. So any changes, whether it's not having the right feature as requested or some new feature, you have to put all those in the change request or change request document. And the tools and techniques for this process are expert judgment and then change control meetings. So change control meetings are actually by the change control board, and they decide whether the change request needs to be approved or denied. So the output of this process are the outputs of this process are the change request status updates, project management plan updates. Whenever you have a change request, you need to update your project management plan, and also the project document updates. So a change control happens, or you have to work on your change control whenever a change request is received. So whenever a change request is received, as a project manager, what you need to do is first evaluate the impact of change. So you need to find whether the change is critical, or what would be the scope, and how much time it will take to incorporate the change, or what would be the cost. And then you have to look for alternative change in the scope, whether you can change the scope, whether you have to increase the scope or decrease the scope, or you have to do crashing or fast tracking. These are the terminologies which we will cover in the project time management um, uh, project time management when we will discuss that knowledge area. But crashing is basically putting more resource to get the things done, and fast tracking is basically a way to have uh, uh, develop things in parallel so that it will take less time to get things done. So you have to check or look for alternatives so that you can incorporate the change request. Then you have to meet with the management sponsor, etc., to discuss the changes which are requested, and if needed, meet with the customer. So basically, you need to be a proactive project manager when you are dealing with the change request. A project manager needs to be proactive in looking for deviation from project plan. We don't like to have deviation in the project plan, but changes are obvious. I mean, you can't avoid changes. It's very rare. Probably you're talking about an ideal world where you don't have any change when you go through your project management. And take time and timely corrective action. So basically, you need to be proactive and you need to have timely corrective action, whether you take some preventive action so that the changes are not uh, are not required because you did some preventive action and your deliverables were according to the scope. So you have to take some timely corrective action, and that's why this thing is in the monitoring and the control phase. Evaluate the effectiveness of the corrective action. You also need to evaluate whether the corrective action is going to fix things or it's going to make things more complicated. Measure performance of the corrective action, whether the corrective action which was taken caused an increase in the performance or increase in the quality of your deliverable, and determine the need for for the further corrective action if there is a need for further corrective action. So basically, the project manager is the person who is actually running the show, and he needs to make sure that the scope is up to the baseline, and if there is any deviation from that, then what corrective action, preventive action, or what other actions should be taken so that your project plan or the project path is smooth. And that's all I have for this process. Thank you very much.